Hello YouTube, it's Little Derek Comics back with another video, and today we are going to be talking about Momo's signature kick from Dandadan. So the last video I did with Mizuku's wind up did pretty well, and so I decided to do another comic breakdown. So if you guys like this sort of content, leave a like, leave a few likes, and I will do another one. So if this video gets 10 likes, I'll have another one by next week maybe. But yeah, I'm just gonna get into what makes this drawing so iconic, what makes it so popular. So the inspiration for this was I did see this get some traction online. I saw a few people posting like, Momo's kick, the Momo kick and everything like that. But yeah, there's three different versions of this that Momo does in the manga and the anime. So we're just going to start off, and I'm going to look through the three moments in the show where she did this and just kind of break down what makes it unique, right? The first part of it is the actual drawing itself. So even though these are three completely different drawings, they do have a lot of similarities. The cool thing about it is just the foreshortening, the perspective, the way the character's drawn, right? So let's just look at this first one. You see how this is not like a normal drawing in a sense that it's not like a regular kick, right? You see this and you're like, oh, it looks like a normal high kick, but it's not drawn. Like if you took a picture of somebody doing a high kick, you would have to be at a very specific angle to get right here, right? So like look how the arm is coming out. You would be like behind Momo, but you'd be like, if you look down, you see her foot down there. If you look up, she's got if you don't know what foreshortening is, it's basically where, different body parts or just parts of something that's in your vision kind of gets bigger as it gets closer to you and shorter as it gets further away. So your leg is the biggest part of your body. Look how small this leg is in comparison to this leg. And that's important because you see this leg extend, you see this leg kind of go downward into the space as it's getting further away from you. Look at how big her head is in comparison to the rest of her body, and then look how it kind of goes down in space, and just look at how huge this arm is as it comes up into space. All of that makes this a very unique drawing, and it really shows the technical skill of the artist, not to mention outside of the foreshortening aspect of it. And you see it in the dude too. You can see how his like leg is starting to go down and he's getting like much bigger up top in like this frame. And yeah, the foreshortening is crazy. The perspective is crazy. You would pretty much be like right behind Momo. And like even if you were right behind her, it's like you are right in her line of offense, right? If she swung her arm wrong, you'd get hit. She looks like her hair could smack you in the face, like in all the pictures too. Like look how dynamic that is. Look, the arm is coming right into the corner of the page. The hair is extending past there, and then that you could see that leg extending again on this picture. So how it's just got going from bigger to smaller. And then how this leg is like a little chicken leg right here. You see all these things, and you see how the shoulder starts off like right here, and then the bicep gets, exponentially bigger. And then this arm is getting just huge. Like these are all things that just really make that unique. And then just things overlap too. Because it's not like they just drew like a straight arm, right? Let's turn this off right quick. If you drew like a straight arm, then it would kind of go like, shoulder, bicep, and then forearm, right? Into like the hand. Let's just do this. I know it's a poor drawing, but the way that this drawing is going, it's kind of going into space. So it's like shoulder, bicep, and then the forearm is like going into space or like into the space. So if I turn this off, you see how much more interesting that is? Like even if I turned this arm and just like transform that, it's so much less interesting. That straight arm, I can make it bigger, you know what I mean? But it's still just a regular straight arm. That's one thing about this, just the overlapping, the way things overlap, and the way it breaks the page too. Like, look at this. Look at how it like her body goes over the panel. Look how exaggerated everything is. This is not a normal high kick. The way they've drawn it and foreshortened everything makes it unique. it shows the technical skill of the artist, and it's something that people would have a hard time replicating. Like, sure, you could trace over it and you can redraw it in your own way, but this is like a really unique spin on the artist's style, and it makes it unique to Dandadan. So that's one reason that this is a really unique pose, and that it separates itself from the rest. But yeah, outside of the foreshortening and the overlapping, what else makes this just such an iconic image? Let's talk about the action of it, right? So again, we're going with the original one. Newton's third law of motion states that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. And that's what we can kind of see in play for all of these images. So anytime Momo is acting on something, you can see the reaction, right? So I'm gonna educate you guys a little bit. I'm gonna take you guys to science class. Let's look at her kick, right? The action is her kicking. She's kind of planted in the ground. Her foot's like firmly in the ground right here, right? And this foot, or like this leg, is coming up, it's going straight into this direction. So you kind of see how it's going this way. You know what I mean? There's a lot of action just kind of going on. So you can see that kind of windmill effect, and then it stops right there at the ex-boyfriend. And then you see how the lines kind of meet there, how they're kind of going, and it kind of centers you around this point of impact. That's some pretty good action. That's some pretty good action. And it really helps that the foreshortening is a part of that, because that makes it even more interesting. Because now you have this interesting looking kick on top of just the action of everything going on. You got this kind of sound onomatopoeia sign right here. I don't read Japanese, so I don't know what that says, but and since he successfully blocked it, she gets kicked, and that's kind of the reaction to it. But also just the primary reaction though. Look how strong this kick is. He didn't just like, brush off her kick like, girl, please. He's like, yo, he's finna get his head taken off. Just look how strong of a kick that is. Like, if you see it right here, like the season 2 kick, I think this is chapter 36, but season 2 is where it also takes place. But look at what happens when she actually nails this kick. Bro is finna have his head taken clean off. Look, action is her swinging that foot, and the reaction is this kind of boom right here, where like I don't know what's coming out. I don't know if he got like some sweat, or maybe he broke something. Whatever these little particles are, they definitely add to the piece. But it's just kind of like he gets hit here, and then the reaction is this kind of knockback effect. So it's really interesting, just the action of it. You can kind of see the aftermath, just the devastation that kick leaves, because you see her kind of wind it up here, it goes around, and then it kind of comes back around and like knocks him down. So you can just see how devastating that is to take that strong kick. She knocked this grown man, this buff grown man down with that kick. He is like flabbergasted. And just look at the motion lines. I talked about this in the last video with Mizuki, but just look at the lines. You can kind of see everything kind of going downward, and it's just really nice. You can just see the effect, that cause and effect that happened because of this kick. Is just really devastating, and especially right here with this one. So again, it's with the exception of her flying, this is the same kick. It's just that her foot isn't like planted on this one. It's more so just suspended in air. You see that foot kind of coming up, and then like you see how the foot goes in this direction. So she's swinging that leg. The impact is like right here. Your focal point kind of goes to like this point right here. Look how devastating this one is. This is like probably the best one overall, because she like kicks him dead on in the face, and he is like turning in the direction of her foot. Like he is twisting. You see how he's like if I continue it, right, and he's like twirling into this direction, and he's gonna kind of keep twirling. And then the aftermath, you see how she's like done with the kick, and then he's just sent flying. Like this is the impact of it. Like impact here, and you see how devastating it is in each one. So the action of it, just how strong it is every time, is just really cool. But yeah, like I said, just that action reaction effect every time that she does it makes it like feel like a very powerful kick. So we've already established that it looks really cool, and it has a lot of like strength to it whenever we see it. Now, what's the last part about this? What makes this iconic? And honestly, that's the repetition, the consistency, the fact that they repeat this. So this basically functions as a self-reference. The show is referencing itself. This is the frame from what is basically the first episode, but it's also the first chapter. This is our first introduction to Momo, and we can kind of see she's kind of aggressive. She doesn't care to fight a dude, and we can see how strong she is. So we associate that with Momo, and we'll always associate this kick. Anytime we see this kick, this pose, we'll associate it with Momo. It kind of carries us through the show, right? Anytime we've seen Goku do a Kamehameha wave, anytime we've seen Naruto do a Rasengan, we remember like different points in the show where he used it. It brings us back to certain parts of the show. So now that we've like associated this with Momo, every time she does it, it's just like, oh, that's the move she did then. And then we'll see it again and it'd be like, oh, is she gonna do the thing? And she does the thing. And now it's just like, oh, this is that one sick frame from Dandadan. We associate it with it, and it's kind of like now it's the Momo kick or the Dandadan kick. And I think that is a big part of what makes this unique. I can talk about, like I said, the line weight on the foreshortening. It's really sick. I didn't mention it too much. The action, I can talk about all of that, but at the end of the day, what makes this good is just the fact that it's used a lot. Because if it was just a one-off drawing, it would be cool, but the fact that we see it again and again, it's like, and we can kind of see how the artist has improved in each of these, what's different about each of these, and how he gets like different spins on it. And yeah, that's really all that makes it unique. I mean, there's many more things I could talk about, but those are like the three primary things that I think makes this Momo signature kick so iconic. So let me know what you thought about it. Let me know how you like this kick. Do you think it's a little bit overrated? Do you think it's underrated? Do you not care for Dandadan? You know, what do you think? But well, with that being said, we're at the end of the video, so be sure to share this with somebody that likes anime and subscribe for more. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video, and I'm out. Peace.